Nobody's expecting any true insight. Nobody's expecting any big brains. What they're expecting is just some dumbasses in a mental vacation. But today, it's a little bit different, isn't it?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We've had Mark Cuban on the show.
Yes.
Of course.
We've had Jim Irsay on the show. We've had Vince McMahon on the show.
Yeah.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk to a man whose company is currently valued at $27 billion.
Jeez.
27 of them.
My gosh.
27 billion.
It's a lot.
Jeez.
It wasn't always worth 27 billion. No, this man's brain had to guide them through so much adversity and ideas in a business that was stale and out of touch and make it new and innovative. Ladies and gentlemen, the founder and CEO of Fanatics, Michael Rubin.
What's happening? How you guys doing?
Hey, fantastic. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. I assume you're an incredibly busy man. Not only is your company, Fanatics Commerce and Fanatics Collectibles and Fanatics Betting and Gaming, and you own half of Lids. Now you invested in Mitchell and Ness. You're friends with every billionaire we've seen on television and we've seen in the world. Thank you for taking time out of your day to chat with us, sir. We are honored to have you here.
Listen, I just want to say, most importantly, I fit into the qualification of an equal dumbass. So you've got me. I'm ready to go. Okay. And I think I can compete with any of the best dumbasses.
Okay, well, I feel like you're one of the smartest dumbasses on earth, because I was reading a little bit about your bio here that was sent over and then on the internet. Whenever you founded Fanatics, you had a vision, basically, of making the merch business that licensed NFL and college kind of like new school. You in here it said that the old way of doing merch for these schools and teams and leagues was you had to order 9 to 12 months in advance, and you had to try to predict who was going to be a star, whose merch was going to move. So normally that led to unpredictable outcomes and a lot of merch being held in a store, overhead being high, or being out of stock of people that are hot. You innovated that. You changed the game. Fanatics gets to deal with the NFL, NBA. Everybody becomes a licensing partner of. You've changed it all. You knew this was going to happen, and now that you're sitting at a $27 billion valuation, do you look back on it and wonder how you did it, or was this the plan all along, the way you went about doing it, Michael?
No, I honestly think we're just getting started. I mean, people think I'm crazy when I say that, but I feel like we're at the beginning of the game. We have so much growth ahead of us. We're just getting started. We've certainly, we started in the what we call Fanatics Commerce, which is our merchandise business. In 2011, it was about a $250 million business. Then next year, we'll kind of be encroaching on almost $7 billion in the merchandise business, but we really feel like we're just getting going. The business has really been about how do we reinvent it and make it better for the fan. And by the way, there's so much more for us to do. But we do operate the flagship Fanatics site. We do operate the NFL shop, the NBA store, NHL store, Major League Baseball store, and also hundreds of individual professional and collegiate teams. But at the same time, we're globally expanding. We're building into soccer. We're building our college business more quickly. And we're finding so many ways to make it better for the consumer as well, which is what we wake up and go to bed thinking about. And you're right. The way the business worked 10 years ago is someone got hot in sports, somebody got traded, somebody won, and the manufacturer had to make the merchandise, ship it to a store, hope they got it right. Hopefully the consumers came in, and now our business is it's mostly direct to consumer, and of that direct to consumer business, about 3/4 is the internet. And then, as you said, we also, our partners and own half of Lids. We also operate a bunch of college bookstores. We operate many venues. So you can basically find Fanatics merchandise, at many of your favorite places to shop online for sports fans.
Hey,
and that's just our first business.
Hey, yeah, I know it's an incubation period here too. We're still gonna grow on.
Incubation, man. We all got to build. We got to keep incubating.
Hey, 27 billion incubator state. Hey, congratulations. No, it's not easy at all. AJ, go ahead. Your question for Mr. Rubin.
Mike, I've seen where I'm sure you surround yourself with a lot of great people. I see Magic Johnson. Is he still like a special consultant for you guys? He's a fascinating character to me, especially what he has done in business off the court. What has he brought to you guys, and what kind of help has he given?
Yeah, he's a great board member for us. I've known him for a really long time. We actually met randomly at the next cabana in the Bahamas maybe 15 years ago, and we were always next to each other over a holiday vacation, and he became a good friend. And I wanted to get somebody who was a incredible athlete who then really built their business. And he's been great at helping us. He's been involved with the business, formally for probably a year or two, but informally for years. And, for me, I'm a guy, I say this all the time, and people don't get this, but I barely made it out of high school. I legitimately got 780 on my SATs, actually 670 combined the first time I took it. 780 the second time, which is pretty hard to do that bad. I barely made it out. I went to college for 6 weeks. So like, I need smart people around me. I got to be learning from people all the time. And he's a great guy to learn from. And to be honest, I got lots of great people I learn from every day.
Hey, so why do you think you've made it? And that's like, hey, I need you to tell me why you are who you are, but you barely make it through high school. Listen, here's a real thing, because especially with what happened the last couple years where people were given an okay to kind of sit at home and chill. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you're not allowed to leave your house, actually. And they say a habit is formed in like 21 days or whatever the case is. And a lot of people, maybe the working and employing people is not as easy in some jobs because not as many people want to get out there and work. What do you think it is about you that made it? And is it just a work ethic that doesn't stop, and where do you think you got it from?
Yeah, so first off, I definitely have no chill. I don't know what that means. I'd be very bored with any chill. For me, as I said, I was a god-awful athlete. I was a god-awful student. I was equally as bad as an athlete. The only thing I was ever good at was working. I loved it from the day I was a kid. Like, I've always loved business. You do things that you're good at. That's what I always kind of focused on. For me, it's come down to just a few basic things. You hit one of them. My work ethic is pretty insane. This morning, I started at 4:30 in the morning. I'll finish work 11 and 12 o'clock.
Why?
That's always. But well.
No. I thought you were going to go through your entire day. I was going to give a what as an echo in between. That's the thing we do on the show. Sorry, very dumb. Very dumb. I thought you were going to 4:30 golf, Bible. That's Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never played golf once in my life. Actually, I played golf once in my life. For about 10 minutes. It was very embarrassing. And I went back to drinking at that point. It was much better skill set of mine. But for me, look, what's it really come down to? One, I think you need to have like common sense. Like, that's what I don't have like an educational background, but I do have pretty good street smarts. And that lets you get your strategy right. It was easy for us to figure out how to reinvent the licensed sports business. How do we reinvent the collectibles and trading card business? How do we think we can reinvent the online sports betting business? So those things that like we think about deeply. And then from there, there's been a couple of things that I've always talked about my whole life. I'm pretty decent in relationships, and that's really important in life. Like, I already see this in 2 seconds. You guys are all good relationship skill guys, and that makes people want to do things with you, and that's helped our business. And then I've had a crazy work ethic, like outwork anybody, never give up, always unrelenting. And the last thing is I get great people around me. Like, if you get really smart people around you and you get them to want to work together, which is equally as important, you're going to be pretty successful.
Yep.
Pick the business strategy right, work your ass off, get the right people around you, you're going to succeed.
Hell yeah. Sounds like that is the perfect recipe to become a very successful person. You said you outwork anybody around you. You better not be in the same room as Boomer Esiason or The Rock.
Yeah, that's
The Rock, the hardest worker in the room, every room. Do you two just run head to head to each other, you and The Rock?
Yeah, I actually don't know The Rock well, but I'll tell you one thing. Kevin Hart is a really good friend of mine. And yeah, I watch Kevin's work ethic, and I always say he's like one of the hardest working, really well-known people on the planet. And he always says The Rock is just like him. So I believe from watching Kevin, who works, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, nonstop, that probably, and he talks about The Rock in the same way. So I think we all have the same hustle. And, to me, it's fun. I'd be bored as shit if I wasn't doing it.
So hold on. So yeah, Kevin Hart, good friend of yours. We know you got tight ties with Meek Mill, Robert Kraft. That wedding, you gifted him a baby blue Bentley, I believe, a year ago or so.
Well, what I gifted him for his wedding was we actually took the bar where he met I was with Robert. We were actually going to Vegas. It's actually a great story. We were going to Vegas for the Conor McGregor Mayweather fight, and Robert said, like, Michael, I know you're going to make me do bad things to your body, to his body. So why don't we first go to a spa the weekend before and try to make ourselves healthy before we do bad things to our body? So I reluctantly agreed. We went to the Canyon Ranch in Massachusetts. And as we were pulling in, he saw his now wife, who he knew, I think, from vision and sight and a quick conversation, he was going to be madly in love with. So actually, for his wedding, what I did was the bar that we went to as their first date, we renamed it after Dana. Her last name is Blumberg, and we called it Blumberg's. For Robert and Dana, because I call Robert Blumberg in my phone. So every time he calls me, he's Robert Blumberg, not Robert Kraft. He's been begging me to change his phone to my phone to get his identity back, but it's a reminder of him. I always want to keep him tough on his edges and on his heels. So, but he's Robert Blumberg, and that we named the bar after him. So if you were in Lenox, Mass, you could go to Blumberg's, which was the bar named after Robert.
Oh, that is awesome! You literally bought the place and changed the name to it? Yeah, there it is. Blumberg's, Lennox, Massachusetts. There's the sun.
We actually didn't buy the place. We renamed it and bought drinks for everybody and food for everybody for the period of time it was renamed. But it was a good, funny, humble reminder for all of us. But it's Blumberg's now in my mind, and it'll always be.
Who did it? Al Michaels did the. No, who did the? Who did the?
Well, there were a couple of great performers there. Elton John performed. He was one of Robert's dearest friends. Meek Mill, who's family to each of us, got up and did an amazing, kind of wrap up had about Robert. And then Ed Sheeran performed as well. Yes, Ed made me drink so many shots that I forgot who it was.
Who performed the ceremony? I think was it Al Michaels.
I thought it was Al Michaels
that did the ceremony.
They actually didn't get married. This was Roy writing reception, not an actual. It was a party, not the actual ceremony.
So, at what point in your life were you at one of those events? You're like, yeah, this is normal. Like, isn't that a fucking crazy, insane thing for a guy that almost didn't make it out of high school? That you're hanging out literally with all the billionaires, you're friends with everybody, and you're in there. If not just in there, you're at the top of that thing, leading the way. Is that a holy shit moment for you? And when was it? You think?
No, it's honestly not at all. Because to me, I'm just like, I'm always pushing. I'm not like a reflective person. Like, there's not a time. There's nothing I've ever done in my life where I've been like, man, that was so cool. Like, I just don't think that way. I'm always like, what's next? What do we do next? How do we do better? How do we make something for the fan better? How do we improve better? How do I get better? It's just the way I think. So I'm not like a reflective person. It's just not my personality.
So when you're sitting in there, you're at the wedding, you're like, could have been better. Maybe Elton John performs alongside Adele next time.
I'm happy for Robert and Dana that they're happily married, and I'm talking to everyone there who, I've had the honor and pleasure of, getting to know over the past several years. And, so many of these people are involved in our business. It takes a village to kind of build something. If you look at Fanatics and the way we're building our commerce business, which is merchandise, the way we're building our trading card business, the way we're building our gaming business, there's so many people involved. We have, all in about 18,000 employees now. We've got so many great partners. There's all the sports properties that work with us to build a business. So to me, I'm always just thinking about, how we can learn from each other, how we can build together. That's what I'm thinking about. And it's something like that, I'm just having great conversations.
Well, you should know that you've done good. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't reflect. Don't take too much time because somebody's going to get the edge on you. Don't do it. Don't get soft.
By the way,
don't do it.
Listen, if I get soft, I'll get a bullet in the back of my head. That's 100%.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Hey, don't even think about how awesome it is.
I'm coming for you.
Hey, don't even think about it. $27 billion valuation on a company you found and started and worked with. Don't even think about it. Hey, don't get fucking soft, Ruben. You want to get another $27 billion.
It's not happening.
Don't even think about it. Don't even have a drink and say, you know what? Pretty fucking good for a guy that almost didn't make it out of high school and scored the lowest possible score on SAT, including the points that you get for writing your name right. Don't think about it. Don't do it, Ruben, especially at this stage.
I agree. The SAT was a hard accomplishment. It's hard to do that poorly. I completely agree with that.
Oh, so you're proud of yourself for that? Yeah, I mean,
I feel like, I've tried to explain to my daughter why it's actually not impressive, and she needs to do great. But she says, Dad, like, you were a complete loser and did terrible. Like, So it was a one-time thing for Ruben.
Well, I hope at some point you take it all in. You've done incredible stuff. Darius has a question for you. Go, D-Butt.
Hey, Michael, I saw an interview with CP3 a few days ago, and he kind of talked about how intentional you were about being inclusive with the NBA players when acquiring Mitchell and Ness. You got any future ideas of doing that with the NFL, maybe with some current or former players? And then number two, two-part question. How hard was it for you to give up, your ownership stake in the Sixers to move on and obviously fully take over with Fanatics?
Two great questions. I'll do the second one first because it will help answer the first question. So for me, giving up the ownership in the Sixers was pretty obvious. It was something I had to do. The leagues have rules that say you can't take bets on your own team. You can't have players that are investors in your company. You can't have commercial relationships with the players where we have close to 3,000 relationships. You can't have agents that are investors in your business. So we were kind of violating every rule that every sports league had, and it was time for us to move on. It just became too complicated. And to be honest, Fanatics is such a big opportunity. I didn't want the Sixers to get in the way of it. That does not change my loyalty for the team. I think everyone knows not only is Josh Harris and David Blitzer, who are the two managing partners, family to me. But look, Joel Embiid and James Harden are both family to me. So I'm super committed to staying involved and helping these guys. And, I talk to, all these guys nearly daily. I think I talk to them all, all the time. So it was for me something that had to happen. It's the right thing for Fanatics, the right thing for the Sixers. And it doesn't change. I believe the Sixers. I'm here to help. And to be honest, if we keep it real, it's better for me now because I have no rules that I need to live by. So I like that.
So you're betting on it. Yeah,
Okay.
sounds like a lot of hammering.
It's not about gambling. But look, if I want to help with a free agent or I want to be involved in something that's very easy for me, I don't have to, I don't have to worry about, breaking rules. I can, you got complete flexibility. So as far as Mitchell Ness, look, when we bought Mitchell Ness, what we thought was this is this super culturally relevant brand that we wanted to partner with the people that we make our business with. So it was like really easy for me to say, hey, do this with Jay-Z, do this with Kevin Hart, do this with Braun, do this with D Book, do this with Joel, do it with James, do it with, CP3.
Right.
Do it with KD.
Right.
And by the way, do it with Odell Beckham. These are all the people that they're helping us build our business. We're helping them build their business. So we were honored and thrilled to have them as part of it. The one thing I will say, anytime I take someone's money, I worry about it like 100 times more than if it's our own money. So I only put people into great deals. We did the first deal we actually did where we brought outsiders in was Lids. And, I actually never told the story before, but we brought, Meek, who's like a brother to me, into the deal. He made 40 times his money, got his money out like a year and a half into the deal. That brought me more happiness than it probably brought him. And so I love that. Now, by the way, that's an extraordinary situation, probably will never happen again. But Mitchell Ness, we thought it was really important to have, the best athletes, the best artists, great celebrities involved with the business because they're making culture. And so we wanted them to have equity appreciation in the business. So it was a really easy decision. And yes, we're going to do that stuff more. First time we ever did it was Lids. Second time we did it was Mitchell Ness. And then we got a bunch of guys that are investors in Fanatics as well. And I think, if we're all working toward the same thing, we all help each other. I also think for the players, I think, look, a lot of athletic skills on this on this discussion here. The reality
You included,
is,
pal. You included.
No, me, I'm like eating was my best skill set.
I get it.
Drinking maybe second best.
What?
That's where it stops. So the reality is this was easy for us. We want these guys involved. They're going to make the business more valuable, and we're going to do it more and more. And I think what you hear out of a lot of athletes is they're really good at making money. They're less good at saving and least good at properly investing.
Yeah.
So if they have people they trust that want to be aligned with them, to be able to get their money to work for them is a great thing. By the way, I have friends who play sports who literally have never, who have tens of millions of dollars in the bank, who've never invested a penny because they don't know who to invest with. They're nervous about it. They're uncomfortable. So to take people you're comfortable with and you can properly invest is something that I think a lot of people are doing. A guy like CP3 who's super sophisticated. And by the way, all the guys I rounded off are really sophisticated guys. They want to be in the right business deals. They want to create generational wealth for themselves, not just, get a big paycheck, pay 50% to the government, and then spend a bunch of it. They want to invest and create, value and wealth for themselves and really for their, for everyone in their family tree.
Hey, I can see why a lot of people like you, man. Listening to you chat and, deflect any sort of like notoriety is pretty cool to kind of see at a position that you're in. You said it was easy for you to give equity to the guys and want them to have a stake in it and the athletes and everything in every business that you do. And you've talked about having street smarts, not really having good book. How come it took so long, you think, for some of these industries to change? Like, I feel like giving somebody a percentage of a company so they'll work harder and they'll enjoy it seems to be smart, especially if you're going to utilize their brand. How come it took so long, you think, for people to start doing that? And why did the business need you to change, you think?
So first of all, I think many businesses get stuck doing things the same way forever. And you need someone who's likes to break shit, likes to disrupt. Like at my core, I'm a disruptor. Like I like to reinvent things. I like to break things we're doing if they're not right. So I've got that kind of mentality. That's not a normal mentality. And so it's kind of a very entrepreneurial mentality. I think as it relates to working with the players and the, other, artists and
guys have been, businesses have been fucking over athletes for a long time, taking advantage of business-wise, investment-wise, everything-wise. There's been a lot of that for a long time. So, that's why I think you're so impressive because everybody you do business with loves you still. You know what I mean?
Here's the thing. I think first of all, look, I still own a big percentage of my company, so the money doesn't make any difference to me. I want to win. By the way, you want the people around you to win too, because then, I love, I've had this discussion with different of my friends. I'm like, I'd rather you do something that's 99% less financially meaningful to me for you because I want you to win. And I always believe in we all build each other up. So the way I look at it, I actually watched, Chris's interview a few weeks ago. He actually told me about it. I went back and watched it. It was like he was so thoughtful about how important it is for players to invest in things. I thought, like, that's my responsibility to help with that, to get more people involved. And so I think a lot of people are too traditional. I also think in reality, you guys tell me, but I think a lot of, athletes, you don't trust the boring suit that's like, like so many rich people are like, they're painful, they're boring, they're like, I can't have, like, there's so many people who want to spend time with me. I'm like, I just couldn't spend a second, having a conversation. So like, if you can relate to somebody, then you find shit to do together. It's why everyone like Robert Kraft is such a relatable guy to me. Everyone's like, how are you friends with this 81-year-old guy? He's just like a kid in an 81-year-old body. And like, Robert's like up at 5 a.m. He goes to bed at 1 o'clock. He's on text message and email all the time. By the way, Robert Kraft, after his wedding reception that had this incredible reception, called me and said, where are you? I said, I left 10 minutes ago. He said, where'd you go? I said, little baby had his album launch party today. He said, where is it? I said, Robert, you just had your wedding reception. Go home. He said, I'm coming to baby's party with Dana. Let's go. That's like I like that youth. Here's this guy, 81 years old, just had this wedding reception with everyone in the world there, and he chooses to go to baby's, album launch party because he wanted to be there to celebrate baby. And like that mentality of like staying young, being relatable, like that's who I am. That's not most really successful people. And I think that's what makes me think about things a little bit differently, and also, be able to do a lot of stuff with people. And by the way, it's win-win for all of us. We're all winning together, which is great.
Hell yeah. Go ahead, AJ.
Mike, last thing for me, I think I might know the answer, but any chance, like, as you get older, you think you have to slow down? It seems like this is your life and you love what you're doing. You ever see yourself taking a step back ever?
No, I'll be dead when that happens. Look, I like, it's the truth. I am actually working the hardest I've ever worked and having the most fun I've ever had. I'm also learning the most. Like, when you get to I have failures all the time. Like, shit goes wrong all the time. When I finish this, I'll look at my phone. There'll be 3 things that went right, 2 that went wrong. Like, that's interesting to me because you're always learning, you're always growing. And so, like, why would I change that? Like, I don't know. For me, and this, a lot of people won't agree with me who hear this, I think the second you retire, I think that's just like a step toward death. And like, I'd like to live a long, fun, intellectually interesting life. And so why do I want to be on the way to dying?
Yeah. Yeah. That's not good. The road to death doesn't sound like a fun one at all. I think you're doing it just fine. Last question from me before we let you get back to your 6 text messages of either happiness or failures. Jay-Z, Bezos, and McConaughey potentially buying the Commanders. Do you guys have like a billionaire group chat that you guys all kind of talk to each other? And what do you see the future of the NFL with more of these teams probably coming up for sale? Is everybody going to be trying to get into the NFL? I mean, obviously you rattled off a bunch of reasons why you don't want to own a professional team, but do you see a lot of the big money folks like yourself getting into the NFL, and what does that mean for the NFL, you think?
Yeah, so I'm in a very unique position where Fanatics is such a big opportunity that sports ownership would interfere with the success of Fanatics, which has a chance to build a digital sports platform for billions of fans. So for me, it's not right. For most people, it's, look, there's only, there's 32 NFL teams, there's 120 professional teams, or add MLS, 150 professional teams, add soccer, maybe 200 teams in the world. It's a very scarce asset. I'd say there are a lot of people that definitely want to get into sports ownership. The NFL is an incredible business model. It's a really good business. So it's not only this incredible sport, it's also a good business. I think sports in general is a really good business. We see tons of growth. So I think, yes, you're going to see a lot of people get into it. And by the way, like, sports properties would be lucky to have a guy like Jay-Z as an owner. Like, could you imagine how much value? I look at what Jay adds to our business. I mean, I remember sitting with Jay a couple of years ago. I was talking to him about lids, and I was talking about how to make sure we keep headwear hot. He said, Michael, you're thinking about the wrong way. Like, when you get dressed, you put on your sneakers, you put on your jeans, you put on a hoodie, you put on a hat. That's part of your wardrobe. You're not even thinking about it the right way. Here I am taking input about, we own the biggest headwear retail in the world, lids, 1,300 stores, and Jay's telling me how to think about it differently. So, like, sports properties would be so lucky to have, Jay as an owner. There's so many of these guys that can, add a lot of value. And I think, like, look, I want to see sports get younger. I want to see the ownership groups get younger. So to me, it's a good thing to have, a lot of these people that I mentioned, interested in sports ownership. And I think you keep picking up good owners. I'm partners with, Todd Bowley and the guy who just bought Chelsea is he's been an investor in Fanatics for a long time. And, it's great to see him not only own the Dodgers and part of the Lakers, but also now go out and buy Chelsea, and he's got great partners there in Clear Lake. So I think all this stuff is great for sports. It's going to make better product for fans and better businesses for, the players ultimately who get half the revenue.
Well, keep crushing it, man. We appreciate you. You're a trailblazer for people like me and us who are trying to, keep doing it in a common sense fashion while enjoying every step of the way. We appreciate your time on this busy Wednesday, sir.
Hey, fun being with you guys, and keep killing it. I know you guys are doing great, so congrats to you guys, and I appreciate the time.
Hey, where are you at? Is that your office right there?
I'm actually in my apartment in New York City right now because I had a lunch that I just finished here before.
Do we get any deals done at lunch, or I assume you're working.
Yeah.
What are you eating if you're not working, right? What are we doing?
I ate very little because I used to be fat. I'm trying to be less fat, and I've got from pleasantly plump to I've got actually from fat to pleasantly plump, and
husky, active husky. I used to be.
I like husky, but you have muscle, and I don't really have a lot of that right now. So, but we're always getting stuff. There's no meeting that's not getting things done. That's not the way we roll.
You're the best. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Rubin.
Yeah!